We are back after God knows how long, and I'm just going to hit you with a Jess game. Why not? We got Jess versus Andy. So, since it's been so long, I'll actually go into depth with what Jess is capable of. Jess is your ground specialist between all the COs. All of her vehicles gain a 10% increase in firepower, which it doesn't sound amazing when compared to max, but every single vehicle, regardless if it is indirect or direct unit, gets that firepower. And her drawback is all her infantry, mechs, and anything that is not a vehicle, minus 10% firepower. So she's a little bit weak in infantry combat, like aerial combat, naval combat, but it's only 10%. She's still capable of two-shotting stuff with everything she's got, so long as it's not on a property. And maybe forest? I'm not sure, I'll actually have to check that at some point. But she's still fully capable of doing that. But get that comm tower? Beautiful, you're playing with dual strike Jess at that point. It's lovely. Then you have Andy. Andy is a jack of all trades CO, and his main thing is saving his units, and when he gets a super, he'll end up using hyper upgrade and repairing every single thing on the map that he owns by 5 HP. And he doesn't discriminate against what he's repairing either. It can be an infantry, or it could be a stealth fighter, or even a carrier. It's going to get that 5 HP. He doesn't specialize in anything, but hey, he's a pretty hard CO to go up against sometimes. Especially, like, he counters Olaf when it comes to powers, and Drake and Hawk. Like, even Rachel. But we don't care about those COs today. We just care about Andy and Jess. So, this is Shadows Chase You Endlessly, and this is a 2-base map that is predominantly a battlecopter map. Like, they are insanely good for this map. And what's interesting is you do start with black boats. And Andy here, he's not using the black boat for anything. He's opting to go ahead and keep the black boat where it is. Which, hey, it allows me to, like, it allows him to block the port, which is always a nice thing. That's 1,000 income that I'm not getting. But in doing so, when you look at my black boat, I'm actively blocking some access to that top island. And Jess getting that comm tower, that should be one of the very first things that you should get when it comes to Jess. Like, as soon as possible, get a comm tower. And right here, a unit that I barely build, recons. Why did I build a recon? It'll play out later. No, I hardly ever use recons. Like, I use mega tanks more than I use recons. Like, that should say something. And this recon, it's going to go all the way up. Like, that's what I typically like to do with the recon. Like, on my opponent's island, we'll send a recon over there. It'll keep the infantry away. And if they want their airport, then they're forced to respawn. And Andy being the first aggressor here. Which is interesting. Andy's usually not the aggressive type. And then infantry and tank. Exactly what I wanted. But while he did interrupt his capture, he did throw away his infantry. Which, that's never a good thing to do. You do not want to throw away your infantry. You want to keep them You want to save them, and you want to capture every single property on the board that you possibly can with them. And so, my opponent here has fallen into not a trap per se, but it is a cheeky move. So I'll buy 4,000 recon, and I'll send it up to the front, on whichever island is not mine for airports, and I'll force my opponent to buy a tank. Well, that black boat will restrict access to that island for one of those paths, and usually people will go for the farther option, just like Andy did here. So, as long as that tank is on that tile, I can restrict access back into the main area. And that is 7k that is essentially wasted. Meanwhile, I can just go ahead and bring the recon right back down. So, it's not huge by any means, but it is a little cheeky. And once again, tossing infantry. That's not something you want to do, buddy. And also, artillery. Gotta love the artillery plays. And then there's two infantry gone. And I'll build an artillery of my own. Sounds nice. I get that 10% firepower increase, and with a comm tower, I essentially have grit artillery, which is incredible. But grit for a firepower, at the very least. Yep, and then that artillery, that tank, it's just going to give me, it's just going to give me turbocharge. But that artillery is definitely going to hurt if it hits that black boat. And I actually want to keep that black boat. Alrighty. And then get that artillery nice and hunkered down there. So, 10% when it comes to, getting rid of anything on a city. It does have a chance of defeating that, whatever's there. Those two tanks, if they're both lucky, they can get rid of that tank. But both of those tanks will be in direct line of fire of not only the artillery, but the other two tanks above it as well. My opponent's getting his airport, but I've already got mine. And I've already got a battlecopter. And then the lovely anti-air. I'm just going to harass this infantry. There's nothing there to stop it. So, might as well, right? And just hunkering down, getting the wall ready. And then, once again, interrupting that capture. You cannot do that with, yes, you are in the lead when it comes to financial situations, but while he's getting the properties down on the southwest, I don't have any of mine on the northeast. There's quite a bit of properties here that I don't have compared to him. And he is being aggressive. And see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If both of those tanks were very, very lucky, he would have gotten that kill. But because he didn't, I was able to go ahead and keep everything there. But what I want to know is, why he used that specific tank to attack. I mean, I'm glad he... I mean, personally, I'm glad he did, because it leaves the city open, and I can just nestle a tank right there. But not only is my tank going to get repaired, and I'm going to harass that infantry. That is another infantry lost. And one... There's two infantry. And every single one of his tanks is gone. There's one survivor. There's every single unit that he brought down destroyed. There's a 4 HP tank as the lone survivor. And I have turbocharge ready too. And then I'm gonna go ahead and force him to tech up. But my opponent has saved so much money. Look at all that money he's got. 34,000. And then, once again, is going in on... after what just happened, Andy needs to pull back. He does not need to keep going. That is a big, big mistake. Especially when Jess has turbocharge ready. And he bought a Neo tank. I'm gonna go ahead and harass the Neo tank. And then there goes that one. And then, utilizing some luck rolls, I don't get the kill. I don't get the kill. I was really upset by that. Usually when it comes to Andy, you want to kill every single one of his units before Hyper Upgrade comes in. And you know Hyper Upgrade is right around the corner. Even without seeing... Well, you see the bar. But even without seeing the bar, you would know that Hyper Upgrade is right around the corner. Especially when he built so many vehicles and lost, almost every single vehicle. And he is going to pop his super and use Hyper Upgrade, which will bring those tanks right back up to where they once were. And it will also allow this anti-air to go ahead and get that battlecopter. But there is one saving grace with that. It allowed me to keep building battlecopters because that thing is gone now. And then retreating with the artillery. That artillery has not done anything. This entire time. I don't know why that artillery's there. But I have taken one of his properties, and I have taken a neutral one, which is incredible. But with that artillery out of place, I'm able to just go ahead and mop up a few stuff. And that Neo tank. It's strong, don't get me wrong, Neo tanks are very strong. But against artillery, they're, they will fall. Especially if it's grit level artillery. And I'm going to shield my medium tank from the battlecopter. Because battlecopters can and will actually do something. And that artillery isn't going to be doing anything. I'm going to go ahead and chase it. With my recon. And he builds a second Neo tank. He has the funds for it. He can certainly do it. And I'm going to go ahead and bring a tank down there because at the moment, like, my airport is locked. I can't do anything with it. And I'm going to go ahead and make my wall a little bit better and make sure that those artillery is covering as much as it possibly can. And he's going to do the same thing up on the northern side. But he also went ahead and took... It would have been better if he didn't do this, because down on the south, my tank now has easy access to not only a property shot, but also to his anti-air. And as you can see, I did build another Neo tank and another artillery as well. Not Neo tank, medium tank, sorry. And now, with the, like, this thing is at 3 HP now. It can do some heavy damage to the battlecopters, but I really don't care. It's on the airport, it'll get repaired. I really do not care. And just shifting my lines a little bit. There's 2 Neo tanks up front, a battlecopter and a medium tank. And there's also a bomber. One Neo tank. And then uses the battlecopter to go in. And then ooh, buddy. That tank was there for one, but he's being bold with the captures, and that's a bad thing. You should not be bold with captures, because you're not going to be able to do anything with them. And that tank did what it was supposed to do. That battlecopter can take it out and be repaired, like, back up to 10 on its next turn. Artillery is going to go in. And I did a bit of a small misplay, I will admit, but in doing this misplay, there is one caveat to that, and that is the bomber. There is 2 anti-air here, and while the Neo tanks can take care of 1 anti-air, it's not going to be able to reach the one in the back. No, but the anti-air up top is actually in danger of that bomber. And using the Neo tank to take out infantry, it's such a waste. Like, it honestly is. But there goes the bomber, and it does take out the anti-air. But at the very least, it's out of the way now. That's all I can ask for at the moment. But if you look at, and he bought rockets, which I really don't agree with. You don't have a good defense right now. Rockets should not be the thing that you should buy. You can buy them when you have a good defense. When you have an actual wall going on. So, my turn's going to come in. 3 HP artillery. It still does quite a bit to Neo tanks. Like, even on properties, it's still brought it down. And then battlecopter, brought it down to number 2. I now have overdrive. I'm going to use overdrive. Like I said in the very beginning, Overdrive is a fantastic tool to end games. Artillery in the back takes it down. And if you remember what I've said long ago, medium tanks are more than capable of destroying Neo tanks. I mean, heck, even like at low health, regular tanks can take on Neo tanks. They can pick them off. Get another anti-air over there. Why not? That bomber, when anti-air is on there, 40 defense, like 40% defense, it's not going to be able to take it out. I am not worried about that at all. And bring the artillery up, threaten that medium tank. It's not going to be able to do anything. And while that battlecopter would be able to do something, that black boat is actively preventing it from actually being able to go down and kill off that one of those 9 HP infantries. Like, even with hyper upgrade, given that +1 movement, he still can't do it. He would be forced to use the bomber to kill that black boat. And seeing all of this, he uses hyper upgrade and then resigns. This map is really good for artillery. There's plenty of choke points within the middle where artillery can cover very easily. And don't get me wrong, it's good for rockets too. But when you don't have like a solid wall or solid defense to hold out until rockets get there, like they're not going to be great. Especially when your opponent is knocking on your door, just like this. 2 Neo tanks fell right then and there at that turn. And I have an infantry within, like, in close proximity. He has 27k. He does. And he can combine infantry and build a... Like, he is able to combine infantry and build a mega tank down at Southern Base, but that mega tank wouldn't have done anything. But this is what happens when you try to get aggressive against Jess, and she's properly walled up. Like, if she's got the artillery to back up her walls, let Jess be the first one to make the... Like, let Jess be the one to make the first move. Because there is always that off chance that Jess can mess up. Because she is a CO to where if she stretches too far with her attack, even with overdrive active, and this goes for Max as well, there is always that chance that if she stretches too far, she can get completely wiped out. But when Jess is the one defending, and she has proper walls placed up, and you don't have like any powers to back it up, Jess will steamroll you at that point. Like, I really do think that this is a match where Jess wins. If she's able to kill off all Andy's units, she will win.